The Legend of Zelda has a tendency to put things into fours. Supposed 4 pieces of the Triforce, the 4 giants, 4 swords, and the 4 spirits, for example. We all know of 3 timeline splits after Ocarina of Time, but with the trend Nintendo sets, could it be possible that a 4th split exists? And if so, could this help figure out where Breath of the Wild fits in conjecture to the other titles? Wherever there is time travel, there usually is a split in linearity. The events in Ocarina led us to 3 splits: the hero's downfall, the child timeline, and the adult timeline. All were based off different events that happened during Link's time travel. But let's take a look at Skyward Sword. Dr. Wily made a great video on this, which I will leave down in the description below. He talks about when Link travels to the past to slay the Demon King Demise, and later incarnates into Ganon in a curse of everlasting battles to gain the Triforce against Link and Zelda, which leads into other games. So in one timeline, Demise was resurrected, and in the other he wasn't. This could lead into potential for a 4th timeline. We may have even gotten a few games already for it, but that's a video for another time. For now I'm going to focus on Breath of the Wild and whether or not it pertains to this timeline. Looking at certain dynamics in the game, it could be possible that Breath of the Wild takes place in its own 4th timeline. There seems to be a mashup of almost every game placed into this one, from the Rito to the Broken Mirror Shards and also Spectacle Rock. Many are left to believe it converges the timelines, but what if it was just the effects of Skyward Sword that created this vast kingdom? What if the timeline where Demise wasn't resurrected had thrived enough to the point where most of the other events had occurred over time, minus the attacks from Ganon? Maybe Demise was never reincarnated, therefore Ganon never existed. Because of this, Hyrule was able to grow extremely large. Instead of migration, like in other titles, Hyrule never faced ruin, which led to all the surrounding land being under its rule. Calamity Ganon seems entirely different than Ganon, so maybe the enemy in the 4th timeline is Calamity Ganon, but a different incarnation of Demise. When he first appeared 10,000 years ago, the Sheikah used technology far more advanced than anything we have seen in other games. Usually a civilization has to thrive greatly in order to get to that level of sophistication. That just seems like there was no real threat before Calamity, and Hyrule was able to gain peace and advancement. Maybe an unknown sorcerer was able to resurrect Demise with the use of Malice. Malice is known to take control of dead things as well as some other stuff. It seems like Malice plays a large role in Calamity, so maybe it was used to reincarnate his essence. In any case, if this was all true, it would make for an amazing plot, which they could later adapt into more games to fill in the gaps. This one is really starting to mess with me though, as I'm starting to wonder if the entire franchise exists before Skyward Sword in some weird loop because Demise was resurrected in the past. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is Breath of the Wild could be like a breath of fresh air. With new concepts and familiar settings, it could seem likely that there may indeed exist a 4th timeline.